we make good money. We are fairly financially stable. We're smart people, but it always ended up being that we were living paycheck to paycheck at the end of every month. And maybe not so much every month, but it seemed like a cycle that we would get into where we would become debt free and then we would start to build up credit card debt, or some life event would take place that, never really had the money saved up or set aside in order for us to be able to do those things. And so inevitably we would fall behind. And then it was just a cycle of building credit card debt and then having to catch up year over year and never really getting ahead of the curve.
It was like a shame cycle, or we always felt guilty spending money, even on things that we needed.
I didn't really give a whole lot of thought to budgeting or things like that ahead of this, or ahead of working with you. Now I find myself logging in and looking at each separate bank account that we've got, and really thinking about finances a lot more than I had in the past. It lends itself more to my style, where it's not this super granular piece by piece budget. It's a little easier for me to take in. Having a busy schedule and having to think about money at work sort of is off-putting to me to have to think about in my daily life. And so having this automated setup where it's really clear, things just happen on their own and you're able to quickly log in, check things out, make sure that they look good, and then you're off and running.
And I think for me, I was doing all the budgeting and all the financing and everything before. And honestly, that was a little hard for me to let go of, but I feel like it has dramatically decreased my mental load, like as a mom and doing all of that stuff. Like I don't have to do it anymore. It's just we organized it and set it all up and it's done.
We jumped in, we opened accounts right away. We got everything squared in terms of our Roths and those types of things. So everything was in place relatively quickly. And using your system, it became evident that there was actually money left over, more so than what we had thought previously. There was actually extra money that we could invest in and that we could put away for savings or emergency events. So I feel like it was really quick that it became clear that holy smokes, this is actually going to work.
Yeah, and a good example of that is our oven took a shit like a few weeks in, and we had the money to buy a new one, and it wasn't a big deal. Nobody felt guilty. We just bought one and that was that, and it was good.
Previously, it was sort of a negative connotation. Now I feel like it's much more forward looking, positive, thinking about, oh, what can we do, or how can we leverage these investments, or we see that things are happening, money is growing. So yeah, I think just a much more positive outlook from my perspective.
Yeah.
I tend to gravitate towards people that have sort of that positive outlook, positive affirming style. Andy is certainly that way. I can attest to him jumping right in the middle of it. He's definitely not afraid to give a little ribbing here and there, but that's also something that I value as well. Keep things lighthearted. For some people, this topic can be very stressful. So I think your approach and the way that you sort of come at this from a lighthearted and positive is certainly helpful for people, so that they aren't feeling that guilt or that shame to be in this position.
Yeah, same for me. I think Andy feels like a friend, honestly. I'm not the type to just get on here and talk to a random stranger. Like I take a while to warm up, which you probably figured out, but it happened quickly. And I feel like we're comfortable talking to you about these difficult subjects. And yeah, it was a really good experience for us.